Welcome to the Next Generation Rockstars podcast. If you are trying to figure out how do you recruit and retain this next generation of rockstar talent, well, you are in the right place. Hi, this is Amanda Hammett, and on today's episode of the Next Generation Rockstars, we have Horst Schulze. He is the co-founder of the Ritz-Carlton. Now, I think we all know and love the brand of the Ritz-Carlton. They are known for their excellence in everything they do, customer service, their food, their beverages, their rooms, their beautiful properties. But it's not just excellence in those things. It's excellence all behind the scenes with the people that are there. Horst actually walks us through how that idea of excellence was really brought into his life as a 14-year-old working as a busboy in a hotel, and how he carried that with him and some lessons he learned along the way. But I think what you're really going to walk away from is Horst's ideas around developing people and learning those lessons and taking them on with you throughout your career. So join us for today's episode and take lots and lots of notes. Hi, this is Amanda Hammett with the Next Generation Rockstars, and today I have a phenomenal interview for you. I have Horst Schulze. He is here with us, and he is going to tell us all about his ideas around leadership and developing next generation talent. Horst, welcome to the show.
Glad to be here, Amanda.
Wonderful, wonderful. So I know a lot about you because I have this little book right here. But I would imagine our audience may not know a lot about you. So why don't you share with us a little bit about yourself?
Well, it really starts when I left home when I was 14 and started working about 100 miles away, 100 kilometers away as a busboy in the best hotel in the region. That's why 100 kilometers away from home, living with kids in a dorm room and working and learning the business slowly. And I was quite lucky. That's why I refer to that time. I had a huge mentor at that time when I was very susceptible to information, very young. You understand, I was 14.
Yes.
And I had a huge mentor that was the maitre d' of the hotel. He impacted my life dramatically. In fact, the first day I met him, he said, now, and there were other kids who started the same day. Now, guys, don't come to work to just work. Come to work to create excellence. And that was kind of impacted me dramatically throughout my life. Now, at that time, it went over my head, frankly. But what is excellence and washing dishes and cleaning floors? But however, he kept on staying with that theme. And he presented himself as a human being of excellence and a worker of excellence. So you could sooner or later, after a couple of years working there, I could connect to that very clearly. You could feel it, you could see it. And he impacted my life. And from there on, I worked in top hotels in Europe. I mean, truly, you heard that, and the very best hotels in Europe, in Switzerland, in France, in Holland, America Line, England, Germany. And then I came to the United States in 1964. Worked in San Francisco, Chicago, worked for Hilton, then Hyatt. And finally, when I worked for Hyatt, I started as a director of food and beverage for a hotel, became director of rooms, became a general manager, regional vice president over 10 hotels, corporate vice president, 65 hotels. When somebody offered me to come to Atlanta and start a new hotel company, I was not very interested in that because I had my golden handcuffs and everything you want. But they kept on offering me the job, and slowly a dream started developing what I would do with a new hotel company. That dream started to control me, totally controlled by the vision. I started the job, gave up my golden handcuff and everything, all my friends and everything, and moved to Atlanta to start a new hotel company. A year after coming to Atlanta, we opened our first hotel, which turned out the Ritz-Carlton bucket, which doesn't exist anymore.
No, it doesn't.
But but that is the beginning. And I left 20 years later, nearly 20 years later, and Ritz-Carlton had become the leading hotel company in the world.
Absolutely. When you
in many countries, 4 continents. That's my story.
So I will say that when you think of the Ritz-Carlton, you do think of excellence. So you managed to thread that through the entire company.
Yeah.
So, wonderful.
I think so. That was my whole purpose.
Absolutely.
This maitre d's, and of course you're the project. We all are the result of influence of many people. Mm-hmm. with a major influence by this gentleman and this gentleman, the maitre d', mm-hmm. who just taught us think excellent, and yes. not work more hours, but while you work, instead of painting a wall, paint a painting. Mm-hmm. And that was kind of his mantra, and you cannot help when you're so young. You adopt some of it. And of course, when I started Ritz-Carlton, that was the whole thinking. I saw him in front of me saying, "Create excellence."
That's amazing. That's really amazing how that one story of mentorship has shaped your life and the trajectory.
Yeah, sure. Mm-hmm.
So let's talk a little bit more about that. I would imagine that throughout your career that you've experienced, other forms of leadership besides this one.
Yeah, sure.
And how did that go into helping your style of leadership that you would go on to develop?
Yeah, I mean, there are many people who impacted me in that way. And I can look, and if you're lucky, you have good people who impact you. If you're unlucky, you don't. And that's really it, because the fact is we are a result of that. Mm-hmm. And I had some great leaders, and I remember the president of Hyatt, who was affable, who was fun, who was relaxed, but didn't compromise. Mm-hmm. was a friend,
right?
But that didn't mean you compromise. I remember a gentleman by the name of Colgate Holmes, who absolutely was precise, communicated, showed a future to us all, showed us why we do things, not just for the function of today, but for results in the future, etc., etc. So a lot of impact. I had a mentor right after I finished my apprenticeship as a young man, a gentleman who reminded me to come to work also as a gentleman, to act right, to behave right, to understand you work in a place where a certain amount of a certain type of customer comes, to adjust yourself to those people, etc. So different impacts and different learning moments in life is what formed me, right or wrong. That's who I am.
Of course. Well, fantastic. Now, especially as you grew through your career, did you ever feel pressure from your bosses, maybe from a board when you were at the Ritz-Carlton, or any of those positions that you've held, that you really had to focus on numbers and not on really, because the way I see it is that you're developing people. Did they want you more to focus on numbers and profitability versus just the people will do what they got to do?
That's the curse of today. That curse exists forever, though. There is, and what a serious mistake that is for organization. But the organization cannot help it. The organization is pressured by investors, by Wall Street, etc., to look at the dollar. Consequently, the organization measures and identifies success by the dollar.
Yes.
Just imagine there's the headquarters in Chicago, and there is a hotel or a business. It doesn't matter what it is. I, of course, refer to hotels. A hotel 1,000 miles away. How does Chicago headquarters evaluate the leadership in that hotel? Nothing but bottom line.
That's right.
And yet, at the same time, if I'm 1,000 miles away, I can really impact that bottom line by cutting my services to the customer, by not painting anymore, by not cleaning so much, by taking the flowers away, and so on. Sadly, that's the sad thing. But excellence, that's the point about excellence. Excellence concentrates on the things that make money and not on the money.
Yes.
That is the difference, and that's what I try to show everybody. Let's concentrate on our product, concentrate what the market wants, and do that superior to the competition. That, in fact, will create money on the end.
Absolutely.
But that's not how things are measured today.
Unfortunately, you're correct. Yes, absolutely. So, Horst, what would you say the difference, because how long have you been working? Since you were 14, so
yes,
quite a while.
Yeah.
What would you
Yeah.
say the biggest difference is that millennials have brought into the workplace?
You know, that is why, in my opinion, it's widely understood. And I work with them. Now, mind you, it's not that I'm blind to them. I work with them quite a while. The millennials ask the questions which we would have liked to ask, but were afraid to ask.
Absolutely.
The millennials said, what's in it for me?
Yes.
We were wondering what's in it for me. We would have liked to know. We would have liked to ask the question, why? And the millennial says, why?
Absolutely.
And you know, this is kind of fascinating. But because Adam Smith, of course, who wrote Wealth of Nations 300 years ago, but he wrote another book, of which, incidentally, he was more proud. And in that book, he studied the human being. And he came to the conclusion, 300 some years ago, came to the conclusion that human beings cannot relate to orders and direction. Yet what do? We give orders and direction. He said human beings can relate to objective and motive. And that's what the millennials want to know. What's the reason here? What's the motive of it? And what's in it for me? So it really is not new. It's only newly expressed. And we're not used to it. All leadership like me are not used to, we're not used to it. All of a sudden a young person comes in and says, why? So what? What's in it for me? Right. We would have liked to say the same thing, but we were afraid.
Absolutely. I agree with that answer wholeheartedly.
And the other thing, of course, the millennials, as a market, as a customer, the millennial, it's really the same thing. The millennials say, do it my way. Do it my way. Not your way. Not your way, the business's way, but I wanted my way.
Absolutely.
And we were willing to subordinate to the producers what they produce to us. We subordinate to it, even though we would have liked to have it different. The millennial said, I take the hamburger, but I want 2 slices of cucumbers instead of 1.
Yes.
Do it my way. And that's really the differences, and you can expand on that, but it's all the same.
Absolutely. They very much appreciate that individualized attention, whether it's at work or whether it's as a guest. Absolutely.
Exactly. There you are.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So let me ask, how did this influence, millennials coming in to the workplace and coming in under you? How did that influence the way that you led them?
Well, I had come to a conclusion much earlier anyway, that I don't want people to come to in my organization to fulfill a function. I want them to join my dream, my objective. In other words, I was always willing to hire to join me. And that's what the millennials want to do. But have a knowledge what they join. But because organizations still say, join me, and then they say, go to work. And make the speech about we're a team. We're a team. That is, it is ridiculous team speech. Well, a team is a group of key people who have a common objective. And that's what the millennial wants to know. What's the objective?
Yes.
But the boss says, we're a team here. Now go to work.
Yes.
And
do what I say.
You're not a team unless you understand the objective and the motives of the organization. I always believed that because I grew up through the ranks. I wanted to know that. I was afraid to ask. But when I started Ritz-Carlton, I made it very clear. I want people to join us. I want to have an orientation where we explain fully who we are, and explained our dream, invited them to join the dream. and then told them our motive for that dream and connected our motive to theirs. For example, we want to grow. You want opportunity. We want to be honored. You want to be respected, etc., etc. So I didn't change my approach. I know that because it was deep in me. And as a boss, I looked back where I came from. I came from being a busboy. I worked as a waiter and as a cook and at the front desk. I have done the works our employees do. Yeah. I know the pain and I know the pleasure of it.
All right. So what I just heard is that you were a man way before your time.
No, I don't know that. Yes, I was probably a little bit before everybody, but there were many. I was not the only one. Let's understand that. But it's because I grew up and I had the right influences. I was influenced by the right people and I had the right experience. I didn't fall through the ceiling one day and say, hey, I like those hotels. I'm the president of it. I had worked myself through it. So I knew the pain of the employees. And it was very clear. And some of the leaders in the past told me way back, a gentleman by the name of Coke at home said, employees who want to do the job work better than the ones that have to do a job.
Absolutely.
So it's very simple.
Yes.
So knowing that, I have to look back and say, all right, how do you want to be a job? If you feel part of something. You see, it all is very simple. I also like to read the old philosophers. And even Aristotle said, people, in order to be fulfilled in life, have to have an excellence of purpose and belong to that purpose. So why would I hire employees for the function? I hired them for the purpose and let them feel part of it.
Absolutely. So let me ask you, since you just brought this up, let's talk about this hiring process and the recruiting process.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're hiring them for the dream, how do you communicate that through a job listing, or how do you communicate that to a wider audience of potential employees? How do you communicate this?
Well, probably not through a listing, but through the first interview.
Okay.
To the first interview.
Yeah.
By the way, as I identify the processes clearly in my book, how to do that. And it is through the first interview, invite them to join an organization. Make it clear, don't just come here to work, come here to join us. The function which you fulfill. Why would I hire people just for the function?
Right.
They're coming here to fulfill a function for a purpose, to accomplish a certain goal, which if you're a great leader, you determine if that objective, the long-term objective, is good for all concerned. Is my objective, is my dream good for the organization? Of course, for the investors, for the customer, for the employee, and for society as a whole. Once I determine my objective is good for all concerned, I build my systems so that everybody joins me in that objective. So I hire you for my objective, not a function. Because you see, the chair on which you're sitting is fulfilling a function, but I'm hiring human beings, which we know since Aristotle want to be part of something.
Yes.
So I'm offering that. And of course, I make it very clear, the function has to be fulfilled better than the competition fulfills it, so that we can accomplish our dream.
Right. Okay. That's wonderful. So let me ask you this. You obviously came up through the ranks, starting as a busboy. And I feel like I'm guessing here, I'm going to put words in your mouth for a second, but I would assume that you got a lot out of that development process of coming up through the ranks, and it has influenced who you've become as a leader, who you've become as a co-founder. It's influenced everything.
Yes.
What would you say is the benefit today of starting at the bottom, at the busboy, at the whatever, and working your way up? What would you say to someone today to try to, a young person trying to tell them, hey, join us in this dream. I need you to start here.
Yes. Well, yes. I will show him that, and I will show him or her, obviously, that there is a career no matter on what level you're going to start. It's quite simple, in fact, that career. It's a guarantee that you have a guarantee that you have a career. If you take any job that you're in, I can give you examples of people that started as a dishwasher. There's one very close by over here, the manager in the Marriott over here that you know in Atlanta. I remember when he was oriented in the first Ritz-Carlton, I was still running that hotel. He was a dishwasher refugee from Nairobi.
Really?
He was a dishwasher. But what he did is exactly what made my career. He was a little better than everybody else. He didn't come 5 minutes late. He came 5 minutes early. When we asked him to do something, he didn't say, why me? He said, I'm happy to. Thank you for letting me doing it, etc., etc. And he was excellent in every job he had. Soon after he was excellent as a dishwasher, the room service manager asked, can I have him work for me? And he became the best room service waiter. And soon the banquet manager said, can I have him work for me? Everybody wanted him because he was excellent in what he was doing. That's the story. That's the story. That's my story. I worked as room service waiter in the Hilton in San Francisco when I came first to the United States. And I made the decision that I will be the best. After somebody got promoted ahead of me, and I realized that person deserved it a little bit more than me. I came to work tired in the morning, sometimes 5 minutes late because I was young, was partying. And then I didn't get a promotion. Now, first I thought, stupid management, why didn't I get a promotion? It took me a few months. Of course, it took me a few months to realize the other guy deserved it more. He said, when he was told something, he didn't say, why me? He said, I'm happy to.
Right.
And that's when I made the decision. I will be excellent in every job category that I will ever have. And I consequently have a career. Just like Eby, the manager over there in the Marriott, who was nothing but promoted along because in every job, he was excellent. He came to work to be excellent and not just fulfill a function.
Yes.
That was his decision. That decision can be made if you're a millennial or not a millennial.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I agree with that. I'm curious, Horst, how old were you when you were passed over for that promotion?
24.
24. And
I was room service waiter. It impacted my life. Totally impacted my life.
Absolutely.
I suddenly, now mind you, I wanted that promotion.
Of course.
I didn't get it.
Of course.
I knew I was the best waiter there. Technically, I was good when I finally woke up in the morning.
Right.
But when you come in every day and you look a little tired and sometimes you're late, and the other guys every morning they're a few minutes early and says friendly good morning. That was a difference. I saw it, I saw something beautiful. I looked once. It took me a few months, mind you.
Of course.
It took me a few months to overcome my ego. My ego. I mean, the stem is not me, obviously. But suddenly I looked in my hand and there was a key for success. That's from now on, I'm going to create excellence. Now, I all of a sudden, and I saw in front of me my first maitre d' saying to me, I told you come to work for excellence. Yes. I saw him in front of me. And I said, this will never, ever happen to me again. And it didn't.
There you go. It was a wonderful learning lesson for you.
Sure.
It all came together.
Hopefully we all have those lessons. Or we all have them, but if you recognize them or not, that's the question.
That is the question. That is the thing. You have those opportunities to learn, but do you take it as a learning experience, or do you take it as that's not me?
Why not we blame somebody, blame society and blame management, which I did for a few months.
Of course.
Blame it something. And that makes you feel better, but it doesn't get you anywhere.
No, it doesn't. It sure doesn't. So wonderful. I'm glad that you had that experience for sure. So I think you've touched on this a little bit, but I want to really hammer this home, especially for our younger audience.
Yeah.
What advice would you give an early in career employee? Is it coming to work 5 minutes early, or
Yeah.
what is it?
Well, it is so. It's the same words. There's nothing different.
Yes.
If you're starting in your career, be excellent in what you're doing. Stand out. I recommend this to my children. I have 4 daughters.
Mm-hmm.
I urged everyone, go to work 5 minutes earlier. Be happy when you walk to work. Make a decision. Everything is a decision. Make a decision that you like your job. You know, today, half the people in any given job go to work happy and the others are pretty happy. What is it? It's a decision. Yeah. It's not a feeling. Control your feeling. Make a decision you like your job. Protect it. Be early. Say yeah. Be happy if you have extra work being given. Gives you a chance to learn. This. Be excellent today, every day.
Every day. Wonderful, wonderful.
And you will get a reward. The rewards will come. Oh, it takes much too long before somebody recognizes. I know it takes much long, but it will be recognized. It will be rewarded. The rewards will come. The reward is in the future, and you're working for the future, young people.
Absolutely. I think that a lot of times it's hard to, I have been guilty of this myself as a young employee. You know, you see the frustration today.
Yes.
That's what you're living in, is this today. And it's hard. It is hard to look beyond that and say, okay,
yeah,
this is what it can be in 6 months. If I can
exactly.
So yeah.
Exactly. It's so important to, I'm at a point. Once I had that experience and I forgot the message from my first method, Leader Be Excellent. Mm-hmm. I, in fact, then for years wrote on my mirror where I shave in the morning, go to work for excellence.
Really?
So I had to remind myself so that I wouldn't slip away from it. I had to manage myself. We have to be leaders of ourselves first, yeah, before we are leaders of others. And wait to be led by others.
Yes.
The most important form of leadership is the self-leadership. Mm-hmm. Lead yourself toward excellence. Have a vision for yourself and commit yourself to it. Implement the steps that get you there and then focus on it. That is where the pain comes in, the focus in, because you find excuses, you find apologies that make you feel good for a moment, but doesn't take you anywhere. Only the vision takes you somewhere. Have a vision for excellence.
All right. I love that. Actually. So, something popped up in my head when you were just talking just now. What would you advise someone when you're looking to promote people, yeah, say you're looking to promote somebody to lead a team, what's more important to you? That they are a rock star as an individual contributor, or they have a better understanding of how to lead people?
Well, I have a better understanding of how to lead people. However, contrary to what everybody says, yes, leadership can be learned. Yes, leadership can be learned. Some people say that it's born. It's not true. And I have seen great leaders that I touched on earlier. They had all totally different styles. Yes. It's not the style. Leadership is not the style. Leadership is, in my opinion, the understanding that the objective of the organization must be of excellence for all concerned. Mm-hmm. If it lets out one of their constituencies, if you will, it's not good leadership. Right. I have to think if my company, here is an objective for my company. And if I do that as a leader, I set the objective and I see something beautiful, it has to be beautiful. It's not something that you can do. It's something you wish to be. I set out before the first Ritz-Carlton. I came here, I took that job because I wanted to create the best hotel company in the world. Yes. That was my dream. Yeah. And when I hired people, I said, join me for that. Some of them were laughing and said, Horst, we don't even have a hotel. You're talking about. I said, but that's the dream. Once I understand this dream is good for all concerned, I want to underline that. It's not a dream for you only, a selfish dream. No, it must be good for all concerned. Yes. And then align your people behind it, and hire people for it, and align everybody behind it. That's leadership. To see something beautiful and help people on a journey to that destination. Help them. And management is there to do what? To help them to get there, but not compromise. Yes. Not compromise. Because the moment I compromise, if my vision is a great one and good for all concerned, the moment when I compromise, I'm going against everybody. I can't do that. Right. Then my direction is clearly set.
That's wonderful. So I think that we should end on that note, because you had so many wonderful things to say about development and talent and excellence. And of course, excellence wins right here.
Yeah. In the book will make it all pretty clear how to go on. I cannot detail everything here. Well, no. But I think it will be of value for young people particularly.
Wonderful. Well, Horst, thank you so much for your time, and thank you so much for being here.
Amanda, great to be with you.
Thank you. Thanks so much for joining us for this episode of The Next Generation Rockstars, where we have discussed all about recruiting and retaining that next generation of talent. So I'm guessing that you probably learned a tremendous amount from this week's Rockstar Leader. And if that is the case, don't keep me a secret. Share this episode with the world, but really share it with your friends, with your colleagues, because they also need to learn how to recruit and retain this next generation of talent, because these skills are crucial to business success moving forward. Now, of course, I want you to keep up to date every single week as we are dropping each and every episode. So be sure to subscribe to your favorite podcast platform of your choice, and you will see the Next Generation Rockstars show up just for you.